Yeah. This time they brought two of them. One to kind of posture. One they brought the posture on us. They postured. One guy had his hand all on his hip, holding his little waistband. He was finna bust a move. Glenn Grisham Bay, good to see you. Yehuda Ben, good to see you. For anybody watching this after we get off, since we finishing up this declaration, if y'all would like to assist us and help us with some provision that we need tonight in order to be secure, you're free to see our bio where our handle is and to Cash App us. We're going to return that to you very soon. Right now, we need you because we need you. I'm going to finish this up. The Starbucks closes, which the only reason why I left is not because they ran me off. It's because I get frustrated and I can't stay in that same atmosphere for too long. So I have to move my energy around to a different atmosphere that is more conducive to who I am. I'm a peaceful person, and I don't like confrontation unless I'm the one confronting. Yeah. Let's go ahead and finish this up. Hold on a minute. We got a couple more minutes to go. So now you know that you don't need any other documentation but this Universal Declaration. And I'm going to tell y'all exactly what happened. They came in just like they did yesterday. They tried to question me about how long I've been there. They told me, they tried to patronize me. Peace and praise, Yehuda Ben. Try to say, you know, oh, the people uncomfortable, or if you're making the people why? Because I'm reading a Universal Declaration. Is that why? Hold on a minute. I'm about to get right back to this. I just have to gather my bearings up. If y'all don't have the energy, then call around, see if we can find somebody that does. I mean, this is the last night anyway, so it's not like I'm gonna be too bad, but it would be nice. Starsi Maya, Ifa Tumina, Tami. Oh, I like that. I need to know what all that means. I know about Ifa. I know about Ogun. I know I'm Osayin, the herbal guy. You go ahead and school me on Ifa as much as you want to. The Karla Kai. Any of the matriarchs getting on here, I am wholeheartedly extending the offer for trusteeship to you. That means you get land. That means you get credit. That means you get freedom. That means you get law. That means you get whatever you want and need in order to raise your children in peace. This is Article 24. When I told him I'm the heir, he was repeating what I said, which means that yesterday his friend went and told him that I'm the heir to Hobbes. I'm one of the last living descendants of Hobbes' family, right? So when I told the corporation member that, he goes back and has a conversation with his friend. Tonight, both of them come at me. So I go to the managers of the McDonald's Corporation, and I say, all rights reserved to McDonald's. I don't own anything that has to do with them, and I'm not advocating for any type of advertisement for them. In that disclosure, they maintain all of their, whatever they have out there, property. I told the supervisors if they call the policy enforcers that work for that corporation on me again, I will sue them. I will dissolve their corporation. They will have no assets left. I would liquidate everything. And I mean that. No, not a bar attorney, member, not a lawyer. I will sue them by my own hand. Yeah. Article 24. Indigenous people have this is Article 24, Section 2. Indigenous individuals have an equal right to the enjoyment of the highest attainable standard of physical and mental health. States shall take the necessary steps with the view to achieving progressively the full realization of this right. So when you're going in and you're all sick and you're trying to get help concerning health care, use the universal right, Article 24. Article 25. Indigenous people have the right to maintain and strengthen their distinctive spiritual relationship with their traditionally owned or otherwise occupied and used lands, territories, waters, and coastal seas and other resources, and to uphold their responsibility to future generations in this regard. It just told you got a responsibility to future generations. It said that you could strengthen your distinctive spiritual relationship with what? Your otherwise occupied, used lands, territories, waters. So you can go back to the oceans. You can go to the rivers. You can start doing your moon spells again. You can start whatever sciences and whatever spiritual practice you know in order to effectuate. Article 26.1. Indigenous people have the right to the land, territories, and resources which they have traditionally owned, occupied, or otherwise used or acquired. Number 2, indigenous peoples have the right to own, use, develop, and control the lands, territories, and resources that they possess by reason of traditional ownership or other traditional occupational use, as well as those which they have otherwise acquired. Use it, Matriarch Aniko Elbe, for your schools. When they're asking you what gives you the right to put up a booth that is teaching people that walk by the truths of our nation, you say, Article 26, Section 2 of the UNDRIP. Drip, drip, dripping on you. Hey, I love that song, boy. Article 26, Section 3. States shall give legal recognition and protection to these lands, territories, and resources. Such recognition shall be conducted with due respect to the customs, traditions, and land tenure systems of the indigenous people concerned. You see? Article 27. States shall establish and implement, in conjunction with the indigenous people concerned, a fair, independent, impartial, open, and transparent process, giving due recognition to indigenous peoples, laws, traditions, customs, and land tenure systems, to recognize and adjudicate the rights of indigenous people pertaining to their lands, territories, resources, including those. Universal what? It's UNDRIP. UNDRIP is Universal Declaration Rights of Indigenous People. UNDRIP. This is a universal declaration, and the United Nations military will protect you if you're enforcing this law and somebody tries to do anything other than agree with you. Lands, territories, and resources, including those which traditionally owned or otherwise occupied or used. Indigenous people shall have the right to participate in this process. And they're starting to get less and less belligerent, though, when they come up to me and I enforce law, constitutionally speaking, or these indigenous people treaties. They're starting to get a little bit more less belligerent, because they know I have the power to deport them. I ain't told them that yet. You're never supposed to use your authority to oppress or bound someone. You're supposed to use your power and your law and your enforcement to liberate people. Article 27. States shall establish and implement, in conjunction with the indigenous people concerned. Oh, got that already. Article 28. Indigenous people have the right to redress by means that can include restitution, or when this is not possible, just, fair, and equitable compensation for the lands, territories, and resources which they have traditionally owned or otherwise occupied or used. and which have been confiscated, taken, occupied, used, or damaged without their free, prior, and informed consent. Wasn't your land confiscated? Wasn't it taken? Isn't it occupied? Isn't it being used right now? And aren't people damaging it? Oh, wait. It is my sincere prayer you never pay another human being for a process again. Article 28, Section 2. Unless otherwise freely agreed upon by the peoples concerned, compensation shall take the form of land, territories, and resources, equal in quality, size, and legal status, or of monetary compensation or other appropriate redress. You better take it and do what's good with this law. Article 29, Section 1. Indigenous peoples have the right to the conservation and protection of the environment and the productive capacity of their lands or territories and resources. States shall establish and implement assistance programs for indigenous people for such conservation and protection without discrimination. All of these body politics, Great Seal National Association of Moorish Affairs, one of whose members just japped on me for no reason, talking about take my GS Nama, take my name off of Great Seal National Association of Moorish Affairs, and talking about who gave Taj the authority to go into contract with me under the Great Seal. What? He gonna get mad at me because I ain't give him Taj's number. Listen, I don't care about what you want. I care about what's best for the people. And right now, what's best for the people is to get trust. So if you're trying to talk to me about anything other than that, I cannot hear you. I'm trying to give to the people. You trying to take away. Article 30. Now hear this clearly, because right now, martial law is still going on. It hasn't stopped since President Lincoln signed it. It's still going on. You need this one. Article 30, number 1. Military activities shall not take place in the land or territories of indigenous peoples, unless justified by a relevant public interest or otherwise freely agreed with or requested by the indigenous people concerned. Right now, you're agreeing with it because you're not rebutting it with another truth, like Article 30, Section 1 of the Universal Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People. Section 2. States shall undertake effective consultation with the indigenous people concerned through appropriate procedures and in particular their representative institutions prior to using their lands or territories for military activities. And I gotta hurry up because they're gonna be closing down pretty soon here. It's almost 10 o'clock. Article 31. Indigenous people have the right to maintain, control, protect, and develop their cultural heritage, traditional knowledge, and traditional cultural expressions, as well as the manifestations of their sciences, technologies, and cultures, including human and genetic resources, seeds, medicine, knowledge of the properties of fauna and flora, oral traditions, literatures, designs, sports, and traditional games, and visual and performing arts. They also have the right to maintain, control, protect, and develop their intellectual property over such cultural heritage, traditional knowledge, and traditional cultural expressions. Ryan Picton, good to see you. Derek L. Swady, we're going to call you afterward and make sure that these writs and affidavits going to get emailed to me. In conjunction with indigenous peoples, states shall take effective measures to recognize and protect the exercise of these rights. Oh, 2 people come in, 3 people come in, 4 people come in. It must be a couple minutes left. Article 33. If you have any questions concerning what's being read to you, let me know and I will tell you what's going on. Article 33, Section 1. Indigenous people have the right to determine their own identity or membership in accordance with their customs and tradition. This does not impair the right of indigenous individuals This does not impair the right of indigenous individuals to obtain citizenship of the states in which they live. This is why I said you can do an affidavit of identity, take a passport picture of the left, of the right, of the front face, and you write your identity on that paper. I am, this is my characteristics, here's my picture, keep it on your person, keep the universal UNDRIP on your person. Once somebody challenges whether that's a lawful form of identification, right there, just said it, thank you. Article 33. Indigenous people have the right to determine structures and to select the membership of their institutions in accordance with their own procedures. Article 34. Indigenous peoples have the right to promote, develop, maintain their institutional structures and their distinctive customs, spirituality, traditions, procedures, practices, and in the case where they exist, listen very closely, juridical systems or customs. Juridical is jurisdiction. In accordance with international human rights standards, indigenous people have the right to determine the responsibilities of individuals to their communities. Right now, I'm an indigenous person, 26% Bantu, and a whole bunch of other indigenous mixtures. It is well, brother. Any questions you have, you let me know. I'll clear it up. You don't have to worry if your name ain't on the document. You're not binding yourself to anything. Even as the executor office occupant, you're still not liable. The estate is. Article 35. Indigenous people have the right to determine the responsibilities of individuals to their communities. And listen, for all the counselors that are banging with me, who are worried or have reservations or have yet to break specific mental bondages concerning enforcement of law. Right here I'm declaring and I'm assuming that any counsel that's connected to me that is filing paperwork on behalf of Amunra estate, I accept on this public platform, and you can show it to any judge, jury, or executioner, full responsibility for all things proceeding from Amunra estates. I'm responsible for every decision of every council. I'm responsible for every decision of every trustee in my estate. I wholeheartedly accept whatever consequence comes from whatever it is they do concerning the estate. My estate will remedy anything that goes on. Article 36. Indigenous people in particular, those divided by international borders, this is me right now, and you, I was divided by international borders, have the right to maintain and develop contacts, relations, and cooperation, including activities for spiritual, cultural, political, and economic and social purposes with their own members as well as other people across borders. That's what I just did. It's a small border, but still one. We come into it. Article 37. Indigenous people have the right to recognize, observance and enforcement of treaties, agreements and other constructive arrangements concluded with states and their successors, and to have states honor and respect such treaties, agreements, and other constructive arrangements. Nothing in this declaration may be interpreted as diminishing or eliminating the rights of indigenous people contained in treaty agreements and other constructive arrangements. Article 38. States, in consultation and cooperation with indigenous peoples, shall take the appropriate measures, including legislative measures to achieve the ends of this declaration. I have completely helped a lot of nationals out by doing this for you tonight. If you're wondering about anything that has to do with assistance in you being at peace when you're enforcing law, use UNDRIP. I hope you don't ask me another question concerning effectively enforcing law. You read it, and then you stand on it. You apply it, and then you stand on it. You read it, you apply it, you observe it, you break it down, you break the etymology of the words down, and you stand on it. Article 40. Indigenous people have the right to access to Indigenous people have the right to access and prompt decision through just and fair procedures for the resolution of conflicts and disputes with states or other parties, as well as effective remedies for all infringements of their individual and collective rights. Such a decision shall give due consideration to the customs, traditions, rules, and legal systems of the indigenous people concerned and international human rights. Article 41. The organs and specialized agencies of the United Nations systems and other intergovernmental organizations shall contribute to the full realization of the provisions of this declaration through the mobilization inter alia of financial cooperation and technical assistance. Ways and means of ensuring participation of indigenous peoples on issues affecting them shall be established. You should be in every public meeting speaking about issues concerning indigenous people. Every community meeting that is held, you should be at all times. Asking whomever has the mic. Article 43. Oh, excuse me. Article 42. The United Nations, its bodies, including the Permanent Forum on Indigenous Issues and specialized agencies, including at the county and country level, and states, shall promote respect for and full application of the provisions of this declaration and follow up the effectiveness of this declaration. So if you stand on it and they don't, then hit up the special reporters in the United Nations. Article 43. The rights recognized herein constitute the minimum standards for the survival, dignity, and well-being of the indigenous peoples of the world. Article 44. All the rights and freedoms recognized herein are equally guaranteed to male and female indigenous individuals. 45. King Tura Bay. Good to see you, brother. Thanks for stopping by. Nothing in this declaration may be construed as diminishing or extinguishing the rights individual people have now or may acquire in the future. Article 46. Nothing in this declaration may be interpreted as implying for any state, people, group, or person any right to engage in any activity or to perform any contrary act to the Charter of the United Nations, or construed as authorizing or encouraging any action that would dismember or impair totally or in part the territorial integrity or political unity of sovereign and independent states. Come on, baby. In the exercise of the rights enunciated in the present declaration, human rights and fundamental freedoms of all shall be respected. The exercise of the rights set forth in this declaration shall be subject only to such limitations as are determined by law and in accordance with international human rights obligations. Any such limitations shall be non-discriminatory and strictly necessary solely for the purpose of securing due recognition and respect for the rights and freedoms of others, and for meeting the just and most compelling requirements of a democratic society. I don't like that word, but whatever they use it for is their business, so long as this is enforced for us. The provisions set forth in this declaration shall be interpreted in accordance with the principles of justice, respect for human rights, equality, non-discrimination, good governance, and faith. And we are sound. You have a universal prophet, Noble Drew Ali. You have a universal nations declaration on the rights of indigenous people, the whole world. You have 170 teaching videos from me. You have the opportunity to get trust. You have my telephone number, 202-826-7011. Again, 202-826-7011. Do not call my phone unless you're ready to get in trust and you understand what that means. Trust is contract. Contract is friendship. Friendship is us affording the resources of our states to one another and our lawful guidance and expertise. After tomorrow, you will no longer receive any correspondence from me on Facebook. I will be busy administrating the estate. When you come, there will be a gate or a wall up. You will tell them that the heir of the estate said you are welcome. They will call me. I will confirm who you are, what your nationality is, and whether or not you're in trust with us. If you're not in trust, you will not get in. If you do not have a nationality, you will not get in. After which, I love you very much. Thank you for being with me this year. And please, any energy that you have, send to me this evening, that I may be free from the uncomfortability of the cold. Okay? Even though I got to connect that IHOP that cherishes my soul, and I cherish her soul too. Love y'all very much. Talk to you soon. Peace and praise. Yeah. Woo, come on, baby. It's a special day tomorrow. Y'all be ready. 10 a.m. Yeah.